Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next episode of Muse Stories Return on Investment Tales from the Arts. I'm your host, Tracy Durson, and I am so excited to introduce my next guest, Gilda Mercado, who has been so gracious and kind to join us today and share her journey and story. So let's welcome you. Hi, Gilda. How are you?
Tracy, first of all, thank you for inviting me. I'm thrilled and honored to be here.
We're so excited that you're here. The way that we met and what has led us to you being a guest on this episode just makes my heart so warm and full. So I'm going to have you do a big introduction. Who are you? What's a little bit about your story? And then maybe we'll share with the audience how we know each other. So go ahead, take it away.
Okay, so my name is Gilda Mercado. I am originally from Mexico City. I'm an actor, artist, creator, and currently I'm based in New York City. And yeah, that is a little bit about me.
Amazing. And how long have you lived in New York City and or the United States? Talk a little bit about that.
So previously, I lived here 10 years ago for 3 years to study here, and then I worked here for a year. And then I moved to Scotland for a year to do a master's in acting. And then I came back here on 2024. So I've been here now for 3 years. So I think 6 years in total, but I think I'm starting to count from 2024 till now.
Okay. Yeah. So a little bit of New Yorker, but really a global citizen. You've lived in multiple places, multiple continents now, which is super exciting and not a story that everybody can tell.
Yeah, I think also it has changed my perspective, and also because I keep working with people from all around the world, and even my artistry has changed. And I don't know, I think I've absorbed things from that culture or my fellow castmates that are, for example, I've worked with people from Denmark in Scotland, or I've worked with people from Ireland, well, Scotland, of course, England, India. So I don't know. I love, love, love being able to work with people from all around the world and experience culture by living in a different place than my country. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's so amazing, and I'm excited that some more of those details will come out as we continue our conversation. For those listening, and if this is your first time joining into this podcast, I often like to share how I know my guests. So Hilda and I were very fortunate to be a part of this group called Creative Circles that one of our colleagues and friends hosts, and it really just brings together artists and creatives and gives the opportunity to uplift and uphold each other on our individual journeys and how we want to continue to move them forward so that we could be creatives in the world. And it was a beautiful experience. And in that circle alone, we spent, I believe, 10 weeks together and met also as citizens from all over the United States and all over different parts of the world. And I just feel so grateful. Like I have this new community of friends and people out there that we're cheering each other on in our process. So I'm so glad that we got to know each other through that.
Yeah, definitely 100%. And I keep learning so much from you and all the community. And I think something that I've learned from my journey that community is such an important thing because the support, learning from each other, encouraging each other because sometimes the road can be tough or you keep self-doubting and having uh, another person, no, you can do this. This is possible. So yeah, like for me, I've learned community, especially during the circle, like community is such an important thing.
I appreciate you saying that because it tends to be a theme that comes up in almost every one of these episodes that we record, that community is really at the core of how we find success and happiness in this journey. And so it's just good to continue to emphasize that. So I'm going to jump into a couple of questions about you so that our listeners can be as inspired by you as I am. So let's kind of take it back a little bit. So I want to know, part of what we do on this show is share college journeys and how they led to where we are professionally now. And so, talk a little bit about what your higher education journey looked like, what you studied, and just share anything you want to about that part of your journey.
Well, for me, it has been a long journey because before becoming an actor, I studied communications. As a usual story, my parents were accountants and they didn't know anything about acting, so they didn't know that it was a possibility and they were scared. So, and also I was afraid of of betting for myself, you know? So I decided to study communications because I remember it had one class of acting and it was the closest thing that I could find. But I was depressed or sad because I was not doing what I wanted to do. But at the same time, I was taking workshops, anything that I could do through acting, or even if I had any project in communications, I always did it like, oh, then I'm going to do a monologue like as a presentation. Oh, I'm gonna be part of this play. Oh, I'm gonna put on a play and produce a play and be on the play. And I was quite bitter about not doing it, but after I finished, then I decided I would pursue acting, and then I moved to New York and started to study acting. And it was a 2-year conservatoire, the Stella Adler Studio of Acting. And that is where I think because previously in Mexico, I had some tools, but I think in at Stella, I really learned more about acting. But it wasn't enough for me because the course had a lot of modern acting, but not a lot of classical acting, or not enough for me, especially because I didn't have the experience of 3 or 4 years. It was so condensed. So I really wanted to explore that. So I auditioned for 2 schools in United Kingdom. I got into no 3. I got into 2. I got a scholarship at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, and I moved there because it was such a different experience because it wasn't about taking classes, but it was about exercising being an actor. And so it was divided between directors and actors. So in my program, there were 4 directors and the rest were actors, and we kind of behaved like a repertoire company. And it was divided between modern work, classical work, and creating your own work, divisive work. And in the classical part of the whole program, we got to do a classical play, but as well as like a kind of an internship at Shakespeare's Globe, which I loved. And we got the chance to perform there. And in my case, I got the chance to perform twice at that stage with As You Like It and Suspicious of Horror. So for me, in that program, taking the tools that I got from Stella Adler, I think I found myself as an artist and how could I contribute to a play or how could I collaborate with a director or my fellow castmates versus just like, oh, this is how I should do things. So in that part of my life, it was so creative. And also I got the chance to create new work. I remember one time we had like a fest where in a week you had to create something and it was challenging but so fulfilling in a way, and it opened my mind that you can create anything if you put the focus and creative efforts. And after that I created a solo, so that has been my journey. And now that I look back, because sometimes I envy actors that had started right away from high school and studied acting, and I see them a little bit further in their career because they started earlier. But I think now, with my communications background, I learned how to edit, I learned how to write, I learned about photography, painting, philosophy. So I think that has made me a rounder actor and with much more depth. And not that the other people are not deep, but that has been my journey. So I think now, even if sometimes I say like, I wished I could act first, but I think it has helped me, especially when I had the opportunity to create my own work because of the tools that I have about producing, about editing, about graphic design, the little things that I know. It has helped me so much.
That's amazing. There are so many things I want to pull out of what you said. First of all, I believe that your journey happens in the pattern that it's supposed to, right? And I think there are a lot of people who will identify with what you said about maybe they wish they could pursue acting in undergrad and didn't get the opportunity for whatever reason prohibited them from being able to do it. But to your exact point to that, having that foundation and sort of breadth in what you studied as a communications major really did lay a solid foundation. And probably there are people who, if when they know that about you, say, "Ah, I understand why she's so good at this particular thing when it comes to acting because you have such a strong foundation and background and breadth in your journey from that communications degree." So I think that's so interesting. And while, like you said, at the time it was frustrating, now you can really see the value in what that provided to you in your career. And I just think I love that you shared that, and it's, different from somebody who went straight into an acting conservatory. And sometimes for people that ends up not being the right choice either because it's so intensive and then it burns them out and then they don't want to be in that professional space anymore. Whereas you had the chance to complete your undergraduate degree and make really intentional choices about, I still know I'm passionate about acting and
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. And not only are you going to do this, but you're going to leave Mexico, go to New York and enroll in a program, and then go to the United Kingdom. That's amazing. And honestly, I wish I could sort of just like step into your shoes and live in that journey and see what that felt like to do that for a little bit. I think that's so beautiful. And I also love that, again, you went into Stella Adler and you got some incredible training, but also recognize, well, if I want to get to the next level, I need to continue to pursue my training and another degree opportunity. To me, it's so exciting and so interesting how this all unfolded and how you really embraced your experience. I also love that you shared that you got to perform at the Globe. That's
Yeah.
incredible. My gosh, I mean, how many people can say that they got to stand on this historic, legendary stage and perform? Such a big deal. Do you just have memories or flashbacks out of like, I did that. I got to do that. It's part of my training and career.
Yeah, the energy that the Globe provides and the history and also the whole team that is there, they really love what they're doing and they really treasure and honor what they do. So that they taught me that. And I don't know, there is something magical about that theater because I know that is not the original theater, right? I think they are remade it during the 70s, if my memory doesn't fail. But the history, all the actors that have been there, the tradition, and also how the actors can be in a relationship with the audience. Because the audience, well, in any play, but especially in Shakespeare and especially in that theater, you're always feeding from the audience and the audience is feeding from you. So for me, I remember I used to touch the wood and felt the energy and the magic of that stage and the grandiosity or like the use of the voice, right? Because also the theater is built to support the voice. And yeah, it was a majestic, magical experience that I wanna revisit in the future and do it again.
And manifesting that you will go and do
Oh,
that
thank
again
you. Yeah,
someday in your career.
please.
It's gonna happen. I believe it. I had the fortunate opportunity to study abroad when I was an undergraduate student,
Yeah.
and as part of my curriculum, I was taking every theater class I could. I don't have a theater degree, as many people know, sharing again, but I took musical theater in London and I took Shakespeare in London, and so we got
Oh,
to see a couple of performances at the Globe. And for people who don't know, who haven't been there, you can stand as an audience member. And so, so you really are up close to where the actors are and experiencing theater in a different way than you do when you go sit in a cushy chair somewhere, right? And when you're not standing, you're sitting on benches that are maybe not quite very comfortable, but again, you feel like you've stepped back in time and get to be part of something so much bigger than you typically would. So I just love picturing that you did that and I feel very connected to you from my experience to your experience. I also want to pull out in what you said that you created your own show in a week. I have not created my own show, but where I really connect with you on that is you said you really learned that you can make something from anything. And that's such a key skill for people who want to be entrepreneurs or work in creative industries, that you sometimes just have to sit there and say, what am I going to make today? And how am I going to do this? And what do I do if or when something doesn't work out? What's my next step? And I think it creates such an amazing foundation for people as humans and the capacity of what they can do when they're willing to say, I can make something. And so I think that that's such a neat skill that you have and that you've learned in your time in your professional training. Do you want any add anything else to that?
yeah, I think because I used to and it's still sometimes I struggle with it, like, I remember even I had talks with my fellow, classmates, during the program, like, "No, I just wanna be an actor, be hired," and because there's so much work, when you're creating your own work, especially if you don't have the support of a production team or if the production team is so little. So there is a lot of work, but it's so fulfilling, and also it makes you explore things that are percolating in your unconscious and in your life, and is a way, I don't know, for me to exercise the things of my life or to express things that I can't. My favorite thing is, especially for example, I've done a lot of devised work. In those terms, I always have the support of the team or with my fellow actors with a production company. And I've also done my like solos, like write the solo, direct the solo, or even on my last one, it was during the pandemic, Rattlestick Theater, because it used to be called Rattlestick Playwrights Theater here in New York, did a festival during that time. And so I did it in Mexico. So I created a piece that was primarily filmed, and it was so exciting because I was in my house back where I grew up with all the knowledge and all the experience that I gathered along my way. And as everyone was like trapped, couldn't leave my home, but also in a way it was magical that I got to create something out of it. So yeah, I would say even if you don't see yourself like, I don't want to create, I just want to be an actor, to try it one time or to try it a couple of times because it's crazy. Like you have an image or idea of something and suddenly it's materialized. And that is incredible. We are creators. And yeah, so if you can do it one time, yeah.
Yes, be brave enough to try, right? That's amazing. So you have all of this diverse training in different parts of the world. You've met some incredible people. Talk a little bit about your professional journey. What's been really fulfilling and successful? Where have maybe some of the struggles been? Talk about whatever you want to share and how your profession has unfolded.
I don't know if it for every actor is the same, but I felt like sometimes everything flows and I get a lot of opportunities. Other times it's just arid and nothing is flowing, and I keep trying to overwork or try to do things. But sometimes as actors, a lot of things are out of our hands. So one thing that I've learned is stop expecting people to believe in you or to give you the opportunity and to advocate for yourself and to be like the believer and the cheerleader for your career. And I want to get into a point that I have a lot of people supporting me, and I've had a lot of people supporting me. But especially in my artistic life, I felt really supported. But in the industry, I think because is right now, especially with the struggles of how do you say it? Well, it has gone through so many things, and also they see things more like as a interchangeable thing. But to advocate for yourself, and if you don't have an agent, for example, uh, to contact casting directors and say, "Hey, I love the work that you're doing. I would love to be part of it. Here is my work. Here is my resume. Here is my headshot." And sometimes you get a respond. Try to be part of a community, like, for example, a class for actors, a class for directors and actors, and build that community and relationships because you never know from where you will get the work. So I think those two things, advocate for yourself and community, and another thing, because some people get really bitter about acting and about their careers. And no matter what, till this day, and I knock on wood, I've never lost the belief for myself, and I've never stopped continuing. How do you say, like a horse, keeping my
Oh,
head
like
on
your
the prize?
blinders, right? Or your
Yeah,
eyes on the
and keep
prize.
going. Keep
Yes.
going, keep going, keep going. No matter what life tells you or like all the noise, keep going, keep going, keep feeding that belief in yourself, always grounded, but keep going. And you never know.
Mhm. You never know. And as people in a creative industry, I think that what I keep learning from my experiences and interviewing people and even on my own professional journey as an entrepreneur, I think it sometimes can get easy to get sucked into this idea of like, is it something going to come my way or is this going to be successful? And what does success mean relative to some other career fields that may have a very clear trajectory and a really comfortable, solid salary? And, they're just very different than when you have to constantly put yourself out there. But the other side of that is being required to continuously advocate for yourself and believe in the power of this artistic journey creates really cool and unique opportunities and communities for people. And it just takes one to take you into your next experience, just one. So what people don't see is that you maybe have reached out to 100 casting directors or agents or auditioned 50 times in the last year to try to get to the next role or experience, but then you get it. It's amazing, right? And then that leads
Yeah.
you to the next thing. You have to have gumption and you have to believe in yourself. But what a cool journey that can create, even when there are frustrations and moments of self doubt in it. So I really appreciate you saying that you have to just really eyes on the prize. And this is not for everybody. I think that what people forget is this is not for the faint of heart because you
Yeah.
have to keep every day getting up and be like, okay, what am I going to do today? And what's my next opportunity? But but what I would love for you to share is maybe talk about some of the professional experiences that you've had that you feel like, that was the one that I was excited for, and I'm so grateful.
Well, I have several. I think the first one was I was taking a workshop in Mexico, acting workshop, and one of my classmates said, like, "Oh, I would love you to be a part of my short film." And I said, like, "Oh, yeah, sure. Would you audition for it?" Yeah. So I auditioned for it. I was too green. So for me, the audition process was uncomfortable. It's always uncomfortable, but I didn't know how to manage. So it was a terrible audition. But because she'd seen my previous work in class, she liked me and she said like, "Oh, I want you in my short film. There is going to be this actor that I know. He has done a lot of things here in Mexico and I didn't know a lot about that. We did a couple of exercises with that actor. He was amazing, but I didn't know who he was. And once I was on the film set, and also there was another actor that I really admired, and I didn't know that she was in it. I saw her on a play, and I was struck by her. It's amazing what she's doing, and being on that set with her. It was so exciting. And then after filming, which the other actor was wonderful, I learned about his whole trajectory, everything. And I was like, oh, wow, how is amazing that from a class, I got this opportunity to collaborate with these two amazing actors that were so gracious and giving and patient. So that was a fabulous experience. And then, well, Shakespeare's Globe, of course, is one of my main ones. And more recent, I think that right now I'm under this process. So talking about advocating for yourself, I had an audition and I had a callback and I didn't got it. And I was so sad. And I told a friend of mine, oh, the public theater, Shakespeare in the Park is doing Romeo and Juliet. And I wanted always to play Juliet. I want to be there. And I didn't got this. I don't think you know what is happening. And she's like, said like, why don't you send your material to the casting director? And I said like, but I don't know the casting director. And she says, just search for the email or search for the contact information at the website and send your material. And I did it. And thanks to the pandemic, because I filmed myself doing so many monologues, Shakespeare monologues. And I try to do that often to try to self tape myself doing monologues or scenes just to have them as extra material if I want to send that to casting directors or anywhere or even for an audition. And I had a couple of tapes and I said like, okay, I'm going to send this to my resume, my headshot, and I sent it. And I didn't receive any reply for a month. And suddenly I got an invitation to audition for Romeo and Juliet at Shakespeare in the Park for an understudy and for ensemble because I think that everything was already casted. So I said, yes, of course, I'm going to do it. And so I did the audition. The two casting directors were amazing and I felt really good about it. And then I got a call back the next week. I felt really good about it. And then I had a callback again on the third week. And finally, I received a call. I got the role, the ensemble, and the understudy. And yeah, and now I'm in Shakespeare in the Park and acting with an amazing cast, amazing actors. I'm learning so much. I cannot believe that I am on the same stage that Meryl Streep has been in. Like Kevin Kline, so many actors that I've admired. Raul Julia. I remember I used to watch videos from The Taming of the Shrew with Meryl Streep and Raul Julia that are still on YouTube, and I used to watch and watch. And it's like, oh, I want to do that. I want to be part of it. And now I'm here. This is what I'm doing. So I think that is one of the things that I can share. And again, is to remind advocating for yourself. Do not stop believing. Keep working. Also, something that I think it has helped me. So I still I'm taking workshops, acting workshops, scene study, working with directors in class, because I think it is so important as an actor keeping that life and keep growing for when that opportunity comes. You're ready, as well as your confidence. Because I know that my capability and some opportunities that I've had because I wasn't confident enough or I was scared to share myself. I think that that stopped me from sharing myself. Yeah.
All of this is so fun to hear, and again just continues to enhance the strength in advocating for yourself. As you've said, that you could have just sat around and been sad that you didn't get the role and then never sent that tape and never had this opportunity to perform again in an amazing venue. I love that you have now, performed at the Globe, you're performing in Central Park, you have walked the stages of incredible actors who also started a journey somewhere just like you, right? It's very rare that somebody instantly becomes famous. What people, again, who are outside of this world don't know is that so much time and energy and effort and work goes into getting to where people are today and when they are now well known and famous. And, but the fact that you were, again, on a stage in Central Park is so big and so beautiful and just is opening one more door to your next experience. And I also love that you continue to train and be in those spaces because that's also again how you expand your network and you meet people and you have friends who will say, just send in your reels, send in your tapes from the pandemic.
Community.
Community, community, exactly. And it's interesting. I might not get the details quite right, but I read somewhere recently that Meryl Streep, way back in her early career, I think had a teacher tell her, "You're never going to make it because you're not beautiful enough." And she said, "I'm not listening to that," which we all know is infuriating, right? If you, for people who are listening and not watching this on YouTube, Hilda and I are like, we're angry faces, right? Because it's
It's
just so infuriating that people would say that. Because look at this woman who's an icon in the world of actors, and so it's just it's a career that can beat you down so easily, but you lean in just like Hilda is emphasizing to the people who are there to uplift you and support you. That's how you continue to get, to be successful on the journey in whatever way success manifests itself. So I have good spidey sense. I'm going to say this, and I think that this is just one more big step to whatever the next big opportunity is for you. I just feel like I've got like I don't know, like the excited chills that it's, Hilda in Central Park now. And I don't know, this time next year, you won't even be available to talk to me because you're going to be so busy.
No, I'm always gonna be available.
Well,
Yeah, like I think I don't know, and thank you for reflecting that because sometimes it's difficult to appreciate the things that you've done, or sometimes you disregard the things that you've done, like, oh yeah, like whatever, and then on to the next, I didn't do enough, or I'm not good enough, or yeah. So thank you so much. I think reflecting and valuing and treasuring them and experiencing them allows, which I'm working on, allows more things come into your way. Yeah.
absolutely. This is such a beautiful conversation. And I was already so inspired by who you are and what you've done, but I'm so grateful that I got to learn so much more about you. And now this story is going to be out there for others to listen to and feel inspired by as well. Is there any last piece of advice or words of wisdom? You've given so much already, but any other thing you want to share that you want listeners to know?
I mean, I don't know if a piece of wisdom is a lot of responsibility, but again, I think community, advocating for yourself, and also I think two things: having a healthy ego, like in a way, knowing your capability, uh, praising yourself in some moments, but also questioning yourself. Because also in this process or in certain place, it's so important to leave your ego on the side, and instead of like it's about me or I should be here or I should be this, how can I serve? Because I believe as actors and even human beings, we're here to serve and to enjoy life. Both things, to enjoy life and to give, but to serve. And I think it is those two things are important. Building a healthy ego to give and to receive. Yeah.
I think that's perfect. It's perfect. Well, thank you so much for being a guest today. Again, it's been beautiful to hear your journey, and I wish you nothing but all the success and joy that this journey may bring to you.
Thank you, Tracy. And thank you so much for inviting me. This is like what you're doing is so, so amazing. And you have the best advice. I remember even I had a meeting with also Tracy and she helped me so much. I was freaking out about my career and things that I should do. And she was so helpful and also advocating for myself and really trying to align what I wanted to do instead of like, oh, this is what you should do, but what do you want to do? How can we work with that?
Thank you for that gratitude. That's so sweet of you. And yeah, just again, grateful to be in each other's circles as we got to
Yeah.
do on this journey. Thanks to everyone listening, and until next time.